Hi folks, and welcome back to another Travels of Red Rover. I'm Shawn.
And I'm Corinne.
And we're doing something a little different, a little special today. So what are we doing today, Corinne?
Well, we are here to show you our new camping vehicle. It's supplemental to our van, and tell us why.
Well, we love the van, and we can take the van into some pretty wild spots, but we've been going actually even further out, and we're finding that if we take the van out there, we're going to break it. So we've been working on getting our Jeep Gladiator set up to be able to do some overlanding and get us to some spots that are maybe a little bit further out there that the van just can't get to. So just before we get started, I want to make a couple disclaimers. The first is that all of the drone video was shot outside the National Monument in an area that is BLM land. The second one is that our review of the Harker was not paid for by Harker or by any incentive provided by Harker. These are our own opinions, and that we highly suggest that you do your own research before you decide on either the Harker EDC or any other topper. And now that that's out of the way, let's get started. And soon after we got the Harker EDC installed, we took it for a trip out to Gold Butte National Monument, and specifically to one of our favorite places called Little Finland. So Corinne and I had already modified our Jeep Gladiator to include 37-inch tires and a 3.5-inch lift. It was our anticipation that we would have to add a bigger set of springs to the rear of the Jeep, but we wanted to get out and try the Harker EDC, so this trip was before we get the additional strength added to the back of the Jeep. I'll comment more on that at a later video. In addition to doing some evening and sunset photography at Little Finland, we also spent a couple days driving the roads in the backcountry of Gold Butte. These roads were typically 2 tracks and were classified as level 3, 4, and 5. One of the reasons we love Gold Butte is you never actually know who you're going to see around the next corner. These burros here, I think, were as surprised to see us as we were to see them. So one of the things that we really liked about the Harker EDC is how easy it is to put up. You're actually watching me put this up for the second time, so I'm still really just figuring out all of the steps along the way, and you'll notice that I kind of fumble things as I'm putting it up, but I thought it would be a good little clip to show you just how really easy this is to get ready for camp. Corinne and I are fussy about that. We tend not to like to mess around a lot when it comes to getting to camp. Frequently we get to camp quite late, and all we really want to do is be able to put it up and go to bed. So having something that is difficult to put up and difficult to take down is would irritate us tremendously. For a while we thought we might actually use a ground tent as part of our camping array for the Gladiator, and essentially it only took us one try with the ground tent to figure out that that was definitely not something that we would like.
Okay.
Now I'm quite short, being only about 5'7", so for me to get up on the back tailgate, it's just easier to use a little ladder. This is a gorilla ladder, 3-step gorilla ladder, and it's turned out to work quite nicely for getting into the back of the Jeep. Now once I'm there, it's actually pretty straightforward. There are 2 clips, one on the right, one on the left. All you need to do is undo the 2 clips, which are pretty straightforward, and then just give the top a little bit of a shove, and pistons will take it the rest of the way up. So again, it's a very, very simple process to get it to this point. And then once you've got the tent pulled out, all that you need to do is clamp the tent to the Jeep. We have added a couple little D-rings that make it quite simple to anchor the bottom of the tent to the Jeep. And then zip it up and you are pretty much done. See our Camco awning deployed, and it's also very easy to put away. Actually, it would have been even easier if I'd have moved the table. And also you can see that the back hatch attaches to the side of the Jeep and makes into quite a useful table. Now, normally what I would do is actually bring the three-step Gorilla ladder around the side to help me reach. As you can see, I'm struggling to actually reach the buttons for the awning. And of course, the first time I set up the side table, I managed to completely and utterly botch it up, but that's fairly typical of me. One of the things we really liked about the Harker EDC was that it had this tent canopy around the outside, which for a small footprint that we have here in the Gladiator gave us a lot more room, especially when the bed is down. So instead of having the wall be here, the wall actually gets extended out to the edge of the tailgate, and that gives you a lot more space when you're having to change or do other things once we pull the bed down. The other thing they do, the one thing they do with the tent is they do a very nice job at creating a wrap that comes around the outside bumper for us, around the tailgate, and when you zip it up, it comes pretty tight in. But what we noticed, since we live in a very windy environment, this flap they give us, as part of the tent, tended to flap around quite a bit and created a little bit of a draft. So we made one modification right away that has really taken all the draftiness out of the tent and basically keeps the wind out of the tent. We put some industrial strength Velcro here, and along the tailgate. And then when we're putting the tent up, all we do is we fit the flaps in over the Velcro. And then once that's in and the tent is closed up, then it is really very secure, and a lot of the draftiness completely disappears from the tent. We've also been using just some cloths. It turns out our tailgate is fairly sharp right on the edge here where the tent works against the tailgate. And what we've done is we've just put that in there to protect the tent when it's closed up. And that's worked really quite well. I think Corinne will probably make us an actual little corner piece that'll just fit right on there, so that that'll replace the cloth and just make sure the tent doesn't get all ripped up on our bumper, on our tailgate. As I said, I don't know what other tailgates are like, but ours tends to be a little bit on the sharp side. So zipping up the tent is a fairly straightforward process. It turns out it's a little easier if you leave a gap on both sides as you start to close it up. So I bring them into about here, and then I actually start this zipper next. It's actually Joe from Harker made that suggestion. It's turned out to be a really, really good idea. And then we just get that part of the tent started. We can close this up. It closes up pretty tight. And now it's really just a case of bringing in all the elastic bits to close up the bottom of the tent. And that's pretty easy to do. And I can take it down a little further as well, but I don't need to for right now. Now, once you're in the tent, you need some more ventilation. It has windows that open up. We've been finding that the best way to deal with the windows is not to completely open them, leave them a little bit zipped up on the bottom, and then just fold in the excess cloth, and that kind of holds it really nicely. We do that also on the side ones. You can see we've got the cloth sort of folded in here with the window mostly open. We can open a little bit more, but that seems to work extremely well. And once you have the tent deployed, it's very straightforward to either raise or lower the bed. Here I'm just about to raise the bed up to give us some headroom on the inside of the tent. Now what you're not seeing is I'm being fairly careful as I go by the windows because the bed will occasionally catch. So when the bed is up, we have a lot of space down here that all has standing headroom, which makes it quite comfortable for us when we have to be in out of rainy and clement weather. So that's really pleasant. We also have some counter space up here that we can use during the daytime when the bed's not deployed, just to stick stuff so that we have places to sit. We haven't actually put in anything yet for a table, for a computer, but we'll probably do something like that in the near future. And the bed is really pretty easy to deploy. It's just literally pull it down from the ceiling. It's on a series of gas struts, so the gas struts take the whole weight of the bed. The only thing you have to be a little bit careful of is to make sure you don't catch in this particular case, you can see how we've got the thing folded over, but you can see how this kind of bows in a little bit. So we just make sure we don't catch that when we're lowering the bed. Once the bed's deployed, we typically, all we do is we throw our pillows up here and we are ready to go to bed. I should also point out, and you should notice that we have a lot of space on the, even when the bed is completely deployed, we still have lots of space to change. And in fact, what we do is we use our Boxio toilet, goes over in this corner here, and we use that during the nighttime. So getting into the bed is straightforward. Even we short people with the cupboards and the fridge there can get into the bed pretty easily. We happen to sleep with our feet that way and our head this way, but otherwise it's, you know, pretty much a standard rooftop tent bed.
So when we worked with Harker, there were a number of options that we had to select from for the lower part of the camper. Previously, we've shown you the outside hatch that makes up into a tabletop workspace. That was an option to add the hardware to do that. We also added this window because we felt if we wanted more ventilation, this would be a good way to bring in more ventilation and also more light if it's rainy outside and we want to be indoors. And another option we could have done on this camper was a pass-through hatch that some people get so that they can pass items from the interior to the exterior. We didn't feel we needed that, and also we've put our propane heater in the place where most people would put a pass-through. On the front of the tailgate portion, or the cab portion, we put up a couple Molly panels. You could have up to 3 along here. We've done 2. And these allow us to hang things like first aid kits, damp towels, a few odds and ends that you need out when you're camping. So that's handy. You could go with 1, 2, or 3. And we thought 2 was just fine for our needs.
So one of the reasons that Corinne and I selected the Harker EDC was because of the electrical system that came with it. First of all, it was, for what you get, quite inexpensive, or quite good value. I guess it's not inexpensive, but it's very good value. We've got a 200 amp hour lithium battery. That's connected to a 400 watt inverter. This is sort of if we really need to charge some devices and things of that sort. But otherwise, it probably won't get used a whole lot by us. They also give you a fully capable panel. The panel includes the sensors so that you know how your solar panels are doing and how your battery is doing. It also has the Propex devices on there for turning it on and running the Propex. It also has a series of switches. Most of the switches are for internal and external lights. One switch is actually to see how you're doing on the voltage, and that's actually kind of interesting. So it's a little dusty in here, but you can just turn that on. You can see how much your voltage is. Turn your lights on. Those are your outside lights, and I'm not even sure what that one is. So it's quite well done from that point of view. Then we have a DC to DC charger. This comes from our main engine and continues to charge the DC battery, or the 200 amp hour battery when we're driving. The other way we charge it is that we have 200 amp hours of solar panels on the top that also charge the battery. So far, running the fridge and lights and a few charging things like our phones at nighttime, the battery's not only been able to keep up, but we've hardly used more than about 10% of the battery when we've been camping overnight. Now, we haven't had to use our Propex heater, which is over on this side. That has a fan in it, and I suspect we'll draw a little bit more power when we have the furnace on.
When we ordered our camper, we asked that they put in their standard cabinetry, just because we're not inclined to be carpenters or cabinet builders. So we have a cabinet on the passenger side that runs right from the back tailgate forward to the front bulkhead with two latches or hatches that open. And then on the driver's side, we have another smaller hatch, about half the length of the cabinets of the other side, a little deeper. And then on the end, we have a Iceco one-zone fridge that will do us for a couple days of camping. Won't be able to have as much frozen food, but will be good for fresh food for a couple days.
So Corinne and I looked at a number of different topper type tent systems for the Gladiator, and we sort of picked the Harker primarily for some fairly simple reasons. One, it's one of the lighter tent systems in the categories. Two, for what we're going to do, we didn't need a lot of extra interior insulation and tent material and that sort of things. Three, it was, frankly, it was quite high value for the price that we paid for it. And finally, we could get it with a built-in light system for storage in the back. And then finally, giving us that extra space on the back of the truck was really important to us, because we found in some of the other ones when we went and sat in them for a while, they were very closed in, and we didn't think we would like that very much. So there are a lot of good products out there. This was one of the lighter ones, one of the most cost-effective ones. It had a really good battery system that was completely out of our way. It's well built. With a few little modifications, we found we don't get much in the way of dust or any air in here. But so Corinne is doing second shift today. She's driving us out of these pretty difficult roads, actually. be good experience for it. So I think we'll bring this video to a close. We sure hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give us a thumbs up.
If you'd like to see more of our videos on our excursions and outings, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below.
And as always, we really enjoy getting your comments, thoughts, and ideas, and we read them all and respond to them all. So if you have any questions about how we're finding the Harker, please don't hesitate to send them along.
And if you want to know when our videos get posted, don't forget there's a little notification bell down below.
And until next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.